You have heard this story before, but it was probably told to you as a sequence of events, not as an experience. You were told what happened, but not what it felt like to live inside the waiting, the doubt, and the silence that came before anyone dared to hope again. There is another side to this story, one that is rarely stayed with long enough because it is uncomfortable and because it asks something of you. When he died, you would not have been thinking about resurrection. You would not have been replaying his promises or searching your memory for hidden meanings. You would have been trying to understand how everything ended so completely and so quickly. You would have watched the life leave his body and felt something inside you close, because some losses feel final in a way that teaches your heart not to expect anything more. The cross did not feel symbolic in that moment. It felt practical and cruel. It felt like proof that power always wins and that hope, no matter how beautiful, eventually runs out of breath. When they took him down, there was no music, no pause in the world around you. People went home. The sky stayed the same. Life continued as if nothing important had just been taken from it. The tomb was not mysterious. It was heavy, carved from stone, and sealed with intention. You would have felt its certainty the moment the rock was rolled into place. This was not a place for questions or wonder. It was a place meant to close the door on possibility. Guards stood watch, not because anyone feared he would rise, but because power does not like loose ends. After that, time lost its shape. The hours blended together, and the days passed without meaning. No one was counting toward a miracle. People hid behind locked doors and whispered conversations because fear grows when hope disappears. You would have replayed your last words to him, your last look, your last chance to stay close. And if you were honest, you might have wondered whether you had imagined everything he said about life winning in the end. Peter certainly did. He remembered every word he spoke too quickly and every promise he broke too easily. He remembered the sound of his own voice denying someone he loved, and he carried that memory like weight in his chest. Failure has a way of convincing you that some endings are deserved. Early on the third morning, when the light had not fully arrived, people went to the tomb. Not because they expected anything to change, but because grief still asks for rituals. They carried spices, not hope. They worried about who would move the stone, because that was the only problem they believed still mattered. When they saw that the stone was gone, their first feeling was not joy. It was confusion, then fear. An empty tomb did not mean life to them. It meant something else had been taken. When you have already lost everything once, even unexpected openings feel dangerous. The words they heard did not sound like celebration. They sounded like correction. They were asked why they were searching for life in a place that only knew death. He was not there. Not because someone moved him, but because he no longer belonged to that place. Even then, understanding did not arrive all at once. Resurrection is not loud when it first appears. It does not announce itself with certainty. It enters quietly, almost gently, as if respecting how fragile belief can be after loss. When he appeared, he did not look the way power usually looks. He walked, he spoke, he waited. Mary saw him and thought he was someone ordinary, someone who belonged to the background of the world. That misunderstanding makes sense, because resurrection rarely looks like what you expect. It looks familiar until it speaks directly to you. When he said her name, recognition did not come from sight, but from relationship. In that moment, death lost its argument, not because of force, but because love was standing there, alive and unafraid. He did not rush away after that. He stayed. He found the ones who were hiding and sat with them. He let them touch the places where pain had tried to make a permanent home. He did not erase the wounds. He carried them differently. There is something important about that, even if it unsettles you. When he found Peter, he did not list his failures or remind him of the night fear won. He asked him about love, quietly and patiently, as if restoring something that had only been buried, not destroyed. It was then that it became impossible to ignore who he truly was, because only God restores without humiliating and returns without revenge. This is the part that is easy to miss if you rush the story. He did not come back to prove a point. He came back to reclaim what had been abandoned. He did not rise to escape suffering. He rose to show that suffering does not get the final word. The tomb was not open so he could leave. It was open so you could see inside and realize that some endings are not endings at all. Some silences are only pauses, and some losses are waiting for a voice to call them back to life. If you are honest, there may be places in your own life that feel sealed and guarded, places where you have already decided nothing new can happen. This story does not rush you past that feeling. It sits with you there and asks you to consider something quietly, without pressure. Resurrection does not arrive when you are ready for it. It arrives when you are certain nothing else is possible. And when it does not always look like victory at first. Sometimes it looks like a familiar voice speaking your name and reminding you that death has limits you never noticed before. That is the other side of this story. Not just that he came back, but how he did, and what that says about the things you believe are already finished.
If you love God and want to grow in His Word, like and subscribe to see more of this.